Yes,
Yeah,
put a white thing in front of you. That's why.
because
What is that?
what?
That's he's such a
We are here today and we are talking about brands and brand online reputation. As you can see, I am hiding my face a little because if you don't know, I had a fight with the floor and missing a tooth, which I'm getting fixed. But in the meantime, I can't say F very well. Anyway, Rena, what are we talking about today? You're in charge, right?
Yeah, we're talking about how to improve your brand's online reputation. And I think I'll start with introductions. So I'm Rena from Little Works Indie Media.
And I'm Pip from Seymour Digital Media.
And one of the things that we want to really think about with our business is we're usually focused on acquisition, client acquisition. That's usually the biggest thing to growing the income of the business. We think that we need more clients, when in reality, it's much easier to resell and upsell existing clients that you have. So, online reputation is incredibly important for that piece, for your visibility piece and credibility piece, but it's also has an SEO component to it too. Isn't that right?
Yes. Look, I shop.
You want to, because
Yes,
you're the
yes, yes.
SEO person, I thought I
Yeah,
should open that up for you.
it is really important. Reputation. I mean, yeah, and you're right. So right now we're seeing a lot of marketing people struggling, kind of like how the housing market has changed. So now it's a buyer's market, right? With marketers now and the Chat GPT, we're seeing a lot of changes. One of the things we're seeing is people showing up in Chat GPT. And so when we focus on online reputation, we have to focus on all the places because even in Chat GPT, you might show up and you want to it's expertise, right, and authority. So if you have great reviews, if your brand isn't really tarnished, you do better.
Yeah, that's right. So, but not only that,
Sorry.
how you interact with people also it's a great way to show how you interact with your clients, through organizing organizing your brand reputation, which includes how you reply to reviews in particular, which can be kind of complicated if you get some negative reviews, which none of us likes to get, but also on the other hand, nobody believes 10,000 5-star reviews anyways. So having a bad review or a project that goes sideways or something like that is it's not the end of the world in terms of your reputation, or it doesn't have to be. um, but clear communication and organizing yourself and making sure that you're communicating at all. I mean, for ages, I actually had clients that stuck with me for a really long time. They were small clients. I was my packages were quite budget friendly, and my client stayed for a long time. And then I went through this phase where I wanted to bring on more team members. In order to do that, I needed to increase some of my pricing and organize higher price packages. And in doing that, I ended up getting into sort of like a next bracket of clientele. And those clients act quite differently. Your target clientele has different, this is why we get drilled down into our targets. They have different attitudes towards things. And there is this kind of group of people. If you're not getting your ideal client, you might be getting clients that almost look like your ideal client, but they might be, give you a year and shop around, or try it for 3 months and shop around. And I've actually watching, I'm really sort of noticing that happens. And sometimes it's not your fault, and it's not the last provider's fault, but that's just how they operate in the space. Are you asking? Oh, um, So what I'm thinking of is they're shoppers. They shop around. So you might lose them. They might leave you, but it's not the end of the world. What we want to do is increase our touch points and make sure that those touch points are always good. I had one client who informed me that he never wanted to have a meeting with me. Like he really said that. So, I would send a report once a month, and I was so naive that I thought, oh yeah, he doesn't want to meet with me. So
Yay.
I
Yeah, I've
just
not
sort of
seen you
left
guys
it
live
with
though.
him. I said, if you are wanting to meet, let me know. And that was a huge mistake on my part. And because he stayed with me for a year, we built his business up to 125,000 a month on online sales. And then he went to a bigger service provider, largely because I didn't meet with him. I never tried to upsell him. I never tried to increase his budgets. I just thought we were doing really quite well with what we had. It never occurred to me that he wanted way more. Do you know what I mean? So those
Mm.
some people view sales as negative, but in that particular case, that taught me the biggest lesson of my career is that selling is actually providing really good solutions for your clients. They want to be sold as long as it's the right thing. They want to be sold. They want to know what's the
Yeah,
best
you
next
guys are
step
not live.
with their business. So creating those touch points within is a way of managing your reputation, maintaining your clientele. So it's not only for SEO, it's not only to make yourself be an
You guys
expert
aren't in Restream.
in your situation, but it's
Hold on one
also
sec, Rena. We're. I'm hearing we're not live. What's going on?
I'm in Restream.
Yeah.
I've been to Facebook.
What
You're
about
not there.
YouTube? It's saying live on Facebook, so we're gonna keep going, and we'll figure out if this is live. If it's not live in the Facebook group, we will post it. And can you just let them know we are live? We just can't see them. I'm not sure why it's not live in the. It wouldn't be live in the Facebook group. It'd be live on my page.
But I check both your pages.
Okay, so we're not live right now. We're just having a good time here, chatting it up. So let's keep.
all right. So let's go back. I just want to, because I think this is one of the most important things. So, in addition to creating yourself or presenting yourself as an expert in your field, also, in addition to the SEO benefits, providing that those touch points throughout the client journey, not the customer journey, the client, like that once you have them as a client, is super important for retention. And that's really important because one of the, especially in the marketing sphere, you're always going to get somebody that throws your client's website through. We use SEMrush, to point out all the things that you're not doing, right? So like marketing is as long as a string. So is you can do endless amounts of marketing with giant budgets, but usually what we choose to do are the top priorities. Usually that fits within your budget, but you're always going to get some other provider that's going to try and throw you under the bus. And they do it. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I've been affected by it. I mean, I don't actually do a lot of that, but and you can also disagree on what your top priorities should be based on strategy and goals, like depending on what your goals are. So this is why it's important. So now we should probably just dig into it. I'm not sure. Do you, okay, because I can't hear you, Pip. So I'm just wondering if you meant to be still. Okay, okay, I wasn't sure if there's still something
Just
going on with my
I was listening to you so
I'm on
intently. I was like,
fire.
this is so good.
And this is my favorite topic. I have to say, this is really
I
my favorite.
Yeah. It's
So
a funny topic because it can be really hard for people. And as we grow in our industry, like emailing your client weekly, setting up. We actually meet a lot of our clients every 2 weeks right now.
really,
Yeah, it keeps us on track.
that's
It's
great.
really it's great, and it's really helped us. Um, be more communicative, right? So some clients are a month. A month might be a little too long, right? But it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah,
So, but let's dig into it because it's the online presence and the brand reputation. It doesn't just start at where you're marketing people. It doesn't end when they're a client, and because a lot of it is you want great reviews.
yeah,
You have to have good communication. I mean, how many people, Rena, have you worked with that have said, "Oh my god, I worked with this other agency and they did blah 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 and they
yeah,
sucked."
yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it does revolve around communication. Either not able to clearly define the ROI. That's one thing, and that can be quite tricky for people. The other, and it's because it's tricky to put it in a format where a client is going to who has no technical skills and is not familiar with analytics, how they're going to understand it. I've had that struggle myself. The other thing is when things are going to get done, timeline. So it's usually around what's being done, how that's affecting them, when it's being done, and periodic updates. Like
Hmm.
don't the one other thing that I learned is don't wait until you're finished to update the client. Update the client, right? It's like, oh well,
Right.
we finished, so I didn't, I wanted to give you one big email at the end, but they prefer to be kept in the loop, even if they don't have time to read the little updates.
Well, because they don't know what you're doing. So, and I think that's a hard part for people when they're parting with money. And like, unless you can correlate the results to what you're doing,
Yeah,
because marketing is all about the results you set in place at the beginning, right?
yeah.
So let's dive into because you have a huge long
You have
list.
Yeah. So
um,
as always, start with the audit. Take an audit of what your online looks like and what your systems look like, and see where your areas of opportunity are. So you're going to check to see that your reviews are looking good, that you've got the platforms all set up. It could be getting your Google business listing organized if you're not getting Google reviews yet. It could be that you haven't looked at your Yelp in 5 million years, because we don't really go to Yelp that often, but you don't want to let things sit because other people can find them. And then look at your social media accounts. Have people been tagging you? Have you been engaging? What's
Wait,
been
wait,
going?
wait. Let's go back for a sec. So go to Google and search for your business name and see what the first 3 pages are, because you'll see your socials in there, and those are the ones you should update
That,
first. Pick one
that's
place to get reviews first. Now there's different, like SaaS companies will go to, different places than like local businesses will go to reviews. Try to build out one platform first, right, and then build the others. And always, and now you can go because now you're on social.
right. Well, we're not actually on social. We're still on the audit. So this is the
Mm,
audit piece. We'll get right into social a little bit later. But so the audit is to look at where you're going, and that's a really great point. Look at the first couple of pages and work your way down, because those companies, not people, those companies are actually really good vehicles for providing your company SEO if you're actually paying attention to what's there. The
hmm.
second thing is set up your Google Alerts and some way of tracking how
Love me
people
a
come.
Google alert.
Yeah, Google Alerts are great, especially if you have an uncommon name. That works best. Sometimes you're going to find you're going to get alerts for other things that aren't related, but that's
I have,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I have what do I have? I have an artist named Pip in England who sells paint, and
Yes.
she's got the TikTok URL. And then I think I have a footballer in England.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting. Well, I am the only Rena Little online, except for on Facebook. There's another woman in the United States who is Rena Little also. She bugged me. She showed up on the scene really late, and I've always been annoyed at her because I really loved being the only Rena Little online. Like that was my claim to
Hmm.
fame.
Same with your
So
business name. You should put as a
yes,
Google alert. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So any names that people might be using about to talk about you is what you want to be monitoring. I even monitor my clients for them, whether they know it or not. I do that, and I also monitor family stuff just to see. And
Hmm.
so we're going to go into the second point, which is where we're going to dive into each sort of section. So we want to talk about Google reviews because that is actually one of the single most important places for your reputation is you're going to get the good
For a
reviews.
local business, yeah.
Well, even Yes, even for service areas, but that's right. You're right. If it's not local, you always want to respond promptly and professionally. And there are ways to deal with negative reviews. And what you don't want to do is become defensive. And it's really easy for people to do that. We kind of naturally have the tendency to try and defend ourselves, which is what becoming defensive actually means. When we feel like somebody is on the attack, and that's a normal human reaction. So, what you want to do if you have a negative review and you're worried about how to deal with it, that's when you want to contact a professional. I actually do have a blog article. Todd Maffin has a really great system called the swarm method, which he has given me permission to use and talk about in lectures and training, which I will be forever grateful. And it's definitely a great tactic on how to deal with negative reviews. So I'll put that comment in the link. Sorry, I do not know why my bells are going
Is
off.
that you? Oh, I thought it
Yes,
was me. I'm like, we got a similar bell.
and
Phelan, you're not seeing us on YouTube at all?
I'm not seeing
I
you
don't.
in your
Okay.
channel
Yeah,
in your
Jelly
YouTube.
says that we're not on either, but
Okay. Can you make a post, Phelan, in the
Sure.
Facebook group? Thank you. We'll post
um,
it after. We'll post it after.
yes, exactly. So, anyways, my points are is that what you don't want to do also, you want to reply individually as an individual person. You're not going to use copy and paste and you're not going to put in the same thank you comment. You want it to be different every time so that you are reacting as if you would to show your personality, your brand personality, right? So we want to do that. Oh yes, I think
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I finished my previous statement. I will put a link to the swarm method in the comments.
So, what is
Uh,
the swarm method?
well, I don't. I mean, it'll take me 15 minutes to describe it, so
Okay.
that's why I'm going to point to it. We could do a whole another session on the swarm method itself.
Hmm.
I haven't done one in a while, actually, online. You want to show your prospective clients that you care, that you're interested in resolving issues, that you're thankful for the work. And it's always really great when the client provides the great keyword in your review, but you can always provide that yourself in the response. So
Doesn't
if
work. Well, you can, but
it,
yeah,
okay, let's just clarify. It doesn't work from an SEO perspective, but it works from someone who's actually viewing.
user. Yeah.
So if somebody's reading that you were able to solve a really complicated website technical issue, and then they're having one, then they might like use that as a reason to reach out to you rather than some other web development company, for example. So I actually think, and my perspective is always different. I'm always thinking about the writing things for the user, not SEO. SEO is a secondary consideration in my approach.
Of course.
But okay, so that's for reviews. And you're gonna kind of do similar things in all the review places. So you might get reviews on Yelp, you might get reviews on specialized industry platforms, you might get like House or one of those other things, other similar ones. So use the same approach for all of them. Um, and What you don't want to do is get a whole bunch of reviews at the same time because those tend to get filtered out. So when you're asking people to do reviews, ask them to do them individually, like ask them individually. It's very difficult to go into a group and ask for reviews and then you get 20 all at once. And then that definitely triggers the review people. They're like, oh, what's going on? They're asking for
Mm,
reviews, they're soliciting
yeah.
reviews. And you definitely don't want to be offering a kickback of any kind for reviews. It's technically not allowed. It's against the terms of
It
services.
it isn't allowed, but it is allowed for you to ask for reviews if you've helped a person,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes. And so what people do sometimes in networking places is that they'll ask for reviews even if you haven't used the services, which I find really hilarious, but
We
it's
ask if we get on a call with someone and we know they can't afford to work with us and yet they need help, we will help them and then we'll ask for a review.
yes, but I don't see that as the same thing at all. So that they have
Oh,
experience working with you in that case, right? So that's a fair review to ask for. I also do that. I feel like that's totally fair. But when you go in and ask everybody to leave like a character review in a sense, then that's not really going to work out
If you want to
because
leave a character review, leave it on LinkedIn.
oh yeah, okay. Anyways, yes, that's exactly right because that's what those reviews are actually designed for. Yes,
Hmm.
thank you. Good point. So we also want to, and then be active where your audience is. So make sure that you know where your audience is and where they're talking with about you and with you. So that might be in Facebook groups, not necessarily Facebook reviews. That might be on certain forums. That might be in certain Slack channels. You want to join all these things, find out where your target market is, and especially if you're a larger company and you don't have a real close control over your clients, and knowing where they are, that can be super helpful. Okay, so this is one that, Pip, this is probably more up your alley, but optimizing your Google business profile is an incredibly important thing to be doing regularly. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Oh, did I lose you?
No,
Yes,
I'm
you're.
muted. No, I muted myself and then just started talking. We do a lot of, we call it a build out. So
Yeah.
we'll build out the Google business profile. And yes, you have to go and check it. There are new things that pop up. I mean, in the last 6 months now, you can put your social links. Um, the reviews are, you gotta, the faster you respond to a review, the better, putting images up there, which we need to do again. But like at least going in there once a week, actually, and
Yes,
checking everything.
yeah, it's on weekly task list because it's also the content is generated by crowdsourcing. So we had one instance where a client had two locations. They closed down one location, and somebody kept walking past the closed location, uploading photos of it closed, and marking the company completely closed, even though they were on
Oh.
the wrong address. They weren't noticing that the address was different. So they were
Mm.
doing that. We were constantly battling and trying to get the content down and mark it open and all this sort of stuff. So it can be complicated like that. You don't want people. That's probably one of the places where I've seen people mess with companies the most is on Google
Oh yeah.
businesses.
Well, some people change phone numbers. That's why you have to go in because Google. If you don't go in and say there's a edit in there, and you don't go in and edit it to what you want, it will automatically go up after probably a week or two. I don't actually know the timeline, but yeah. And there's. I mean, this is where the brand. You paying attention to what's going on with your brand online, right? Which
Super important.
includes, yeah,
Super
yeah,
important.
and totally fun.
Yes, I actually like Google Business Profile. It's fun. It is fun. Okay, so we want to talk about organizing yourself for SEO and reputation content. So that is that
A big
is
deal.
a big deal, and it's not something we deal with that much. So the first part we both deal with creating content that ranks for branded searches and positive keywords. So that's something that should be sort of ongoing in your SEO strategy. Is that something that you guys do a lot of? I'm assuming you do.
We do. Well, it's about the branded pages are going to be the like main pages of your site, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully it's key service and brand name, you know,
Okay.
right? And then your brand name. I mean, I actually almost always recommend doing a little brand campaign in Google Ads, just bidding on your own business name. Like
Yeah.
we have digital media in our business name. So that, if somebody's bidding on digital media, right,
Yeah.
they'll show up above our name potentially. And
Yeah.
so by us bidding on our actual name, we'll show up first. So
Okay.
that's a good way to keep the brand, and I mean, it's so inexpensive in that it's probably going to cost you max $30 a month, maybe,
Yeah.
depending on the brand.
Yeah, totally. So the next thing that comes up is suppressing outdated or irrelevant content by publishing fresh, optimized pages, which is sort of
Mhm.
fine and normal. But there should also be. I think that if you've got old pages, you might want to consider, if you're not going to update those pages, then you might want to retire them and create for a 301 redirect when you do that, or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
you don't really like the 404 numbers actually are pretty bad for reputation management. I actually found a company like last month who was when I was doing some shopping and I was looking for a local provider and I clicked their ad. They were actually spending money on ads. Their ad person obviously wasn't checking their work, and this company had deleted this web page. So every
It
time
was
I
a
click,
404.
yeah,
Oh,
every
that's a good way to get a client. I got one of our clients, they've been with us for like 7 years because of that. Yeah,
You
yeah,
mean
because I went and emailed them.
yeah, that's what I did too. So interestingly enough, that is something that needs to, and that's what happens when you silo work in a sense. If you've got somebody in the office who's deleting pages because they know enough about WordPress, but they don't know enough to do a redirect, and then you've hired an ad agency that's doing your ads, and the communication hasn't happened that page is no longer there, then that's siloing your service providers can be problematic for things just like that.
We've seen a company that deleted their best page on their website,
Oh gosh,
and they had no idea. Um,
painful.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is painful.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
so
talk to
painful.
people. It's not just about what you think is right. It's about, I mean, even if you wanted to get rid of that page, there's usually a reason, and it usually has to do with why, like what's said on it. That's usually why people want to but there are other ways, better ways to transform that content so that you can maintain that beautiful performing page and
Hmm.
be accurate at the same time with your content. So that's definitely a thing. So we
There's
still
a
have quite
lot for business owners to know for sure. Pardon me?
there's quite a lot, and we've got like 3 more minutes. I think we should run over just a little bit. So
Okay,
since we're not really
you
live
go.
and we can post it. So number 7, engage authentically on social media. So you want to make sure that if you're in a conversation, you're coming back and following up with those people. You want to make sure that you're not doing auto responses all the time that don't make sense. I had an auto response the other day. I'm like, oh my god, it's so irrelevant to what I had said that is clearly an auto response, and I don't like it. It makes me feel they're not
Icky.
there. They're not interested in being there. I don't even mind waiting a little bit of time in order to get a good response in my personal shopping, and I think lots of people prefer that. Um,
Hmm.
and um, and and then share user generated content and shout out your supporters. So if somebody's bothering to put up, like I do this almost every week, at least a couple of times where I'm tagging the companies that I'm doing my yoga classes with, to get them some
Oh.
stuff, and they never respond. They never say thank you. They never, and it's a missed opportunity because you can actually take my post and share it to show everybody else that I'm loving the online courses. You know what I
Now,
mean?
why aren't they seeing that? Where would they go and see it?
You would get a notification on your Facebook page, so in
Your
your business.
business page, yeah. So they're just not going and looking in their business page.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's good to have your notifications set up in a way that is useful for you. So I remove all of the extras. I don't really care if there are a lot of notifications I don't care about. So I get rid of all of them. And then my 3 top ones, I have push notifications so that it doesn't end up as emails in my inbox. It goes straight to my phone and I can just click it right away. So
Oh, that's interesting. You'll have to one day show me
oh
that.
yeah, I can do that, no problem. Um,
Oh,
and then you want to get your complaints off the public space and get them straight into a private message so you can deal with them better.
we
That's
do have some secret ways of getting rid
yeah.
of negative messaging.
Oh yeah.
That
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, does it work all the time? No. Can it take years? Yes. Do we do it? Yes. Does it work eventually? Yes.
On Facebook, I also have a couple of tricks not to delete the negative things, because once you start deleting, then you lose control of the conversation because people will start to make their own posts by screen capping your whatever you've put there first. They'll screen cap. They'll say that you deleted the comment, and then it'll get passed around in ways that you can't control because it goes through private
Mm-hmm.
pages. So there are really good ways of dealing with that. You want to you can even just simply hide the comment, and it will only, and if you look at the person who's commented their privacy settings, it'll tell you if they're friends only, then it's just them and their friends that see it. Nobody else sees it if
Mm.
you just hide it. So that can be helpful.
You
The
know, the
other
hardest thing in life is that you're not going to please everybody. You're
No,
just
you're
not.
not.
And
You don't have to.
sometimes
That's not even the
people. Oh, go on.
sorry, it's not even the goal. It's just not the goal.
No, but and this is where, like, I mean, you and I, we've both done it. You know, clients unhappy, bend over backwards, and they're still unhappy. Maybe because there's been bad communication, or other things have come up, or you can't control everything, but you can control how you respond.
That's right. So usually you try and explain situations. You can also change your systems. Like I hired a project manager the year that I had three things go awry, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to I'm going to get totally pummeled for I can't handle this in my company anymore. Hired a project manager, haven't had that problem since. It's been gold.
Mm.
So you change your systems, you change your SOPs, you change how you deal with things, and you respond and you move on. And that's the only thing that you can do in business because inevitably you're absolutely correct. And sometimes it's just viewpoints. Somebody has a different viewpoint on how something should go. So the last client that was unhappy with my reporting, he was more interested in his reach on his ads without and I could not explain to him that that you want a lower reach and a higher rate of engagement on your website and a higher conversion rate, right? Like what a big reach tells me when it's a huge bounce rate and things aren't happening, it tells me that it's too broad of targeting on their ads. And it didn't matter. He wanted to get it in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and he didn't care about the bounce rate and or the conversion rate. He thought that the more people that got there, it was like a numbers game. Throw all the people there and something will stick. But that's not how it works. So anyway,
It's interesting.
so it was just his point of view. He could not get there with me. I could not get him there. So it was just not a good fit. So he's working with somebody else, and that's totally fair and fine. And not everybody's going to be a good fit. Some people don't care if you sound human in your marketing. Some people don't care if you're scraping the interweb for to do your blog posts. Some people don't like it's just a different
Yeah.
being.
Well,
So
Phelan
sorry.
says something that's really
Oh,
important, and so we use. I don't know if I'm sure you've heard of it. We use the Gottman method in our relationship, and also in business. And the Gottman method is about taking responsibility. Everybody
yeah,
takes responsibility, and so that's why I'll take responsibility for where I go wrong for sure. And that way, because the most important thing is what happens after. If
totally.
both parties take responsibility for whatever, there's more of a chance of better communication.
That's
And
exactly,
and it's what happens after that's
yeah.
important. Like, did you solve the problem?
You do
Like,
have
how
to
did you
avoid problems.
communicate?
I
Pardon?
prefer to, I prefer to avoid problems, but when you can't avoid the problem, when the problem arises,
Hmm.
then absolutely, that's perfect. That's a perfect way of dealing with things. I love that.
Yeah, it's good
So just
psychology. Good psychology.
yeah, so showcasing social proof is another one. So if you get badges, if you win awards, if you get badges, if you get testimonials, you want to share those around. Anything that's going to help prospects understand that working with you can be easy and fun and worthwhile. The ROI is good. Then
We
that's
yeah
smart.
yeah we make posts from our reviews,
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah, and case studies can be really
Mm?
useful in addition.
Yeah,
But
it's
and you
true.
also want to sort of do the humble brag thing. So it's
Who
not
needs
a
to be humble?
It's not a problem to brag about your wins in business. You should be doing it. So, for a long time, I never actually, I kept it all to myself. I shared it with Pip. I was really excited about things, but I never really shared things publicly until recently. And I still get really uncomfortable doing it, but it doesn't help you in
Ah,
business. You keep it all
pat
to yourself.
yourself on the back. Nobody else is gonna.
And then one that's not on, we do have a last one, but I want to add one in before that is not on our list that I can't believe I completely forgot on the list, and and that is and it slipped out of my brain. What the heck?
Oh
How do,
no. Okay, what's the last one? What's the last one? If it
oh,
comes back to you.
the last one is ensure your website, social media, email communication, and customer support is in line with your tone and values. So I cannot stress that enough.
Mm.
Working on your brand voice is important. It's very important. It builds familiarity, which turns into trust. And when you understand your target market, you understand how you to communicate with them. That's when you're going to meet them at their level. You're going to have a really good communication if you understand your target market well and it aligns with your values, and that's really important. Um, um, Oh, referral programs. That was the one that I wanted to offer up. Referral programs are another way if you can get your raving fans engaged and organized to refer to you. That is really a great way to grow your business.
There's so many cool, fun things you can come up with to make your business better. And as we go along in business, business, we learn. Okay, we are out of time, not out of
Yeah,
touch, because marketing is a group effort. Haha. Reno, do you know what's happening next week?
I am just clicking the link, scrolling down, and here we are. It is navigating the complexities of international SEO with me and Phelan. I'm really excited about this one because I do have an international
Ooh.
client that I'm looking to bolster their SEO. So I'm hoping that Phelan's coming with the goods because I'm coming with the questions.
Nice. That sounds really fun.
It does.
I can't wait for that one too. I'll be listening in because international SEO does help with local SEO and
Yeah.
just the concepts, some of the concepts, right? Um, but yeah, there's been changes in that area. So it should be interesting. But anyway, we will see you next week. I will share this in the Facebook group and I guess everywhere else. And bye for now.
Bye bye.